So last week, we specifically talked about how dating is often a short-term relationship that ends in emotional injury. We talked about how hearts are joined together and then they're torn apart whenever there is an emotional relationship that happens. You guys remember we had the duct tape, and we're sticking the duct tape on other people, and they come up. But the truth is, we're not sticking our duct tape just on other people, we're sticking it on someone else's duct tape. We're attaching our heart to someone else, and then when we break up with them, it rips apart. And ultimately, someday, you want to take your duct tape and you want to attach it to someone else for the rest of your life. But if you've been dating other people, there's been a bunch of sticking already happening. It's going to be hard to do that. And this is why there's so much emotional injury. And why we're going through this series is because I want you guys to avoid the emotional injury. I want you to live fruitful, passionate lives that are full of power. And I've seen a lot of people who have the potential for that, but then they let relationships get in the way, and that pain just breaks them down. Specifically, we talked about Proverbs 4:23, where you need to guard your heart, for it's the wellspring of life. So don't go attaching your heart to other people. This week, I want to start off by building a fire, if that's okay with you guys. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Okay, Robbie's excited for the fire. So what is one thing that you need for fire? Fuel. Wood, that's right, we need fuel. So I'm going to put this here. And I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes, I'm not good at building fires. So I like to cheat a little bit. Can you do it? Absolutely, that sounds great. Here you go. Are you out of your mind? Absolutely not. So I'm going to stick this right here just to show, but ultimately I would douse it, but we don't have ventilation in here, and I don't want you guys to get high off gasoline. But I think you're allowed to get high off it is the Holy Spirit. And so we also have this. Has any of you guys seen this before? No. Okay, so how this works is I light this on fire and it helps to stay lit. And actually it would kind of go underneath here. So we have our fuel. We have some extra fuel to help it going. And then what else do we need? Fire. We need a spark. We need something to start it to get it going, right?
Why is it
okay?
No.
Because it can go in hard to reach places. Okay? Do you need to light your armpit hairs on fire? Then it works just good. If it was straight, it could be hard to, so that's how it works. So anyway, how would you guys feel if I lit this fire right here?
No. It would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Okay, so for those who are saying it would be amazing, you're not allowed to go on any youth trips ever for the rest of your lives. Okay, for everyone else that says no, why?
It's on the carpet.
It's on the carpet?
Indoors.
It's dangerous indoors? What were you going to say?
What?
Well, you raise your hand. Why would it be a bad idea? Huh?
I was stretching.
You were stretching? Okay. It stretches like this. Okay, go ahead.
Gasoline will explode.
Gasoline would explode. It would be very explosive. Okay. What would happen if I did this?
It would be hot. It would be fire. It would
be pretty fire.
Okay, so you're saying that it was on the carpet and the fire would spread and would catch the entire building on fire. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's very likely too. So tell you what, I'm gonna stick.
It would be pretty fire.
I'm gonna stick. Actually, you know what? I like it here. I think I'm gonna stick it down here. We're gonna leave it there. Okay, no. I want to leave it there.
Pour the gasoline on someone.
I should pour the gasoline on someone. Not allowed on these trips. Okay. Question for you. Is there danger in leaving these materials right here next to each other?
Maybe. No, not at all.
Okay, who said maybe? You said maybe. Why maybe?
Well, because you see, it's like a huge base for the gasoline, so it won't fall over on its own.
Okay.
But if you kick it down, it'll pour and stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
No, because there's no action.
No, there's no action. Okay, anything else?
You can't, the lighter is made so that you can't do it without intention. So nobody's intentionally going to start a fire, so you're probably safe.
Okay. How do wildfires start?
The sun and cigarettes.
The sun and cigarettes.
And then also
And fire.
And wood and other stuff.
But that's
Okay.
stuff that people don't know how to
Okay. How many fires start without people trying to start them?
100.
Wait, what was the question?
Quite a few. How many fires start without people trying to start them?
Less than
10,000.
Depends on the situation, but if there's a house fire, did someone start that fire?
Yes.
Maybe.
The correct answer is maybe or possibly, because sometimes people might start a fire and then the fire gets out of hand. But there are fires that start without anyone trying to start a fire, right?
Like if you try to click the stove and it keeps doing a click noise and it doesn't light up that.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that fires can sometimes start on their own, but then sometimes people will start them as well. And then sometimes people start them and then they get out of control. Am I hearing this right? You have all these things? These actually being here together make me a little bit nervous, especially on the carpet, which is so flammable. So I think I will just stick it back
Is there a word gasoline in there?
right over here. Yes, there is. Is fire good or bad?
You're
Good.
Good for warmth, for light, in order to cook food. What else is fire good for? Listen, fire's only bad if it's used badly, okay?
Okay, so I'm hearing.
Control the fire, then you're bad at it.
Okay, so she's saying it's good for warmth, for light, for cooking. Okay, anything else fire is good for?
And for
Protection.
Protection. It could be protection.
Creation, you can create things with fire. If you like, for like welding and stuff.
That-
You can make s'mores.
That's good too. Hold on. Carla, nice loud. Sometimes for the environment, is that a good thing or a bad
Oh
thing?
yeah. Pipe cones open with fire.
It depends on the
Yard work that is good for like
Okay.
starting.
Yard work. I'd also argue energy. It's an energy source. Who said bad? I heard some people say bad. Fire is bad. Why is fire bad?
you could die.
It can destroy places. What else?
You can die from it.
You can die from it. You can also not die from it and be hurt very, very bad from it. Okay, yes, you can die from a lot of things. Like using your cell phone at youth group, but you're taking notes, right? I can tell. Okay, there we go. Okay, so fire is good and fire is bad. I like to think of it like this.
Fire is bad. Wow.
Is this piece of wood good or bad?
How you can use
Bad.
it.
Okay, hold on. Chris, you said it's bad. Why did you say bad right away?
could get hit with it.
You could get hit with it. That is very true. Allow me to demonstrate. No, just kidding. Okay. Who said good over here? I want someone out in yellow. Did you, Faith? To what stuff?
Like, that's made out of wood. Like,
Oh, I can use it to make stuff. That is true. Okay. So
Carpentry.
here's the thing. If you ask if something is good, go ahead, Jane.
It's very good to hit this fine gentleman right
Very good to have this fine gentleman. That would be a bad example. Okay.
I would explain why it would be good.
Okay. So I want to argue that wood, this piece of wood, could be bad. I could use it to beat someone with. I could throw it through a window. I could destroy something with it. But then also, I could use it to build a hospital. That can help a lot of people. And put together a bunch of other ways. Fire, just like you said with fire, fire is good or bad, or actually, let's just throw that out the window completely. Fire itself isn't good or bad. It's how it's used and where it's used that determines whether it's good or bad. Is that a good way to say it? Yeah. Okay, I think that's good. Fire can cook food. It can provide warmth. It can burn down houses or forests. In the right context, fire is awesome. At my house, when fire is in the fireplace or in the fire pit, we love fire. It is a great thing. It's a good thing. I want to tell you tonight that sex. Wow. Okay, cool. We get that out. So, by the way, tonight we're talking about sex. Sex. Sex is like fire. And marriage is like a fireplace. You see, when fire is kept in the fireplace, it is a good thing. When sex is kept in marriage, it is a good thing. But when fire is taken out of the fireplace, people get burned. When sex is taken outside of marriage, people get hurt. People get burned. Things are destroyed much in the same way that a fire gets out of control. When sex is taken outside of marriage, things get out of control and people end up getting hurt. Things are destroyed. Here's some good things about sex. Sex makes children. It strengthens the relationship between a husband and wife. Do you guys want to come up and talk about sex?
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to listen. You don't have to say anything. You can just say no and then listen. If they keep talking, like just switch one of them or move them. Okay. So, sex makes children. It strengthens the relationship between a husband and wife. God actually designed sex to help strengthen a husband and wife in their relationship. It creates a connection that God intended not to be severed. It isn't just a, ooh, that feels good physical feeling. It actually creates a tight bond that affects the soul as well. God says that when two people become married and they end up being intimate with each other, it's like two becoming one. And we're not talking about a physical thing. We're talking about a mental, emotional, and a spiritual connection that two people have. And that's what God designed sex for. When taken out of the fireplace, people get burned, and it causes people to get hurt. When you take sex outside of that two-person, just between two people, people end up getting hurt. Now, some of you might say, listen, Pastor Tom, I'm not having sex, but I still want to have a little bit of fun. You might not be having sex, but what you're doing is you're taking some of the materials and you're grabbing them and you're like, you know what? I think I'll just play with this a little bit. I'm not having full-blown sex or anything like that, but I'm gathering some of the materials and, I'm sticking them together. Now, you can put in your mind whatever those things might be. I don't need to go into details because I'm sure you guys have had conversations and heard other people talking about the things that they might be doing. Because, people can get sexually intimate. Now, I'm not lighting this on fire. I'm not making a fire, but I'm gathering the materials. Making out can turn into intimate touching. Some clothes might come off, but not everything. We aren't having full-blown sex. We're not building a fire. But you might be gathering that wood. You might be getting the lighter fluid. You aren't building a full fire. The problem is this. When you start to get the materials together to make a fire, you're like, oh, this looks like fun. I think I would like to actually build a fire instead of just being like, oh, well, this is kind of interesting and fun. What more could we do with these things? The same thing applies to physical intimacy. When two people start to get physically intimate with each other, they're gathering the materials. And here's the thing. They might not mean for it to happen. They might not even want it to happen. No, we're saving sex till marriage. We're not going to do that. No, we're not going to build a fire. But they're gathering the materials. And what ends up happening is, oops, there's a small spark. There's something that happens. And before you know it, there's a fire. And it's like, how did this happen? We weren't planning for it to happen. We didn't want it to happen, but it happened anyway. Everything was there, and that little spark becomes a full-blown fire. And so I encourage you guys not to play with fire outside of a fireplace. Don't play with the materials that can cause a fire outside of a fireplace. Don't have sex outside of marriage, and don't do things that can lead to sex outside of marriage. Don't start gathering wood if you're not ready to start it on fire yet. The thing about sex, and why some people are still giggling as I'm saying that, sex it's kind of weird. It's hard. It's difficult. It's one person revealing themselves to another person completely. It's a very intimate, kind of weird thing. I don't know about you, but I imagine if I ask everyone in here and they were honest with themselves, you don't have to say anything, but you have to ask yourself, okay, how would I feel about being naked in front of someone else? I don't know about you. I do not like how I look naked. I've never liked how I've looked naked, and I've been in decent shape before. You'll talk to supermodels, and they do not like how they look naked.
What?
Here's a secret. Everyone else feels the same way. Would you want to be naked in front of everyone? The answer is no. No one wants to do that. When it comes to sex, what is happening is you're bearing your whole entire self to another person, which is scary and terrifying. But if we go back and remember at the start of this series, when we talked about the love that we're talking about, the love that we're talking about is an unconditional love. That we have nothing to be afraid of. Is she going to like me when, all my clothes are off? Am I going to be good enough for him when he sees me naked? Those are things you don't have to worry about if you're loved unconditionally. Could he or she break up with me if I'm not like good enough for them? If you're in a relationship that's based on unconditional love, those things won't matter. And you don't have anything to fear going into a healthy environment where sex will be taking place. If you're going into marriage and that love is there, then you don't have anything to fear. You might be nervous and scared, and that's normal, but you don't have to be freaking out like, am I still going to be loved? Because you'll be in a loving relationship where you can talk with your spouse about what you like and what you don't like. You can practice for the rest of your life to get better at sex. And what that is like, you don't have to worry, oh no, I need to have more experience, I need to be ready for them. If you're in a loving relationship, none of that matters. But if you aren't in that kind of relationship and you still participate in sex, do you see how there's a lot more fear and uncertainty in that relationship? You go in feeling like you need to be good enough. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want a ton of fear and uncertainty when it comes to the most important relationship in my life besides Jesus. When it comes to who I want to be with for the rest of my life, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm afraid, I'm fearful. I don't have to worry about that because my relationship is not based on physicality. It's not based on sex. It's not based on that kind of love. I have a story to tell you guys, and I'm not a fan of this story, and I'm really ashamed of it, oh boy. People who have heard this before are now going, this is it. So I'm a little nervous about what this is it is. Okay. So I was a good Christian boy in high school.
Why'd you say the quote?
Because I wasn't that good.
Okay, no.
So I was a good Christian boy in high school. I took my Bible to school. There was a prayer circle that I was a part of every morning. I was the president of the Bible club. I did many other things. And I always wanted to tell other people about Jesus. Like that was who I was. I was known as Bible boy in some circles. If you actually go to my yearbook and open it up and look, there's a half-page insert of me when I was a senior saying how I wanted to become a youth minister and I wanted to make sure that everyone heard the gospel before they graduated from high school. That was me. That was all I was about. And with that, of course, came this idea. Christians, they stay away from things that they shouldn't. They don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't have sex. I was a virgin, and I was proud of that. I didn't have a problem with that. Other kids might have made fun of me, but I didn't care. It was who I was. I had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend and I, we had boundaries. I was very close with the family. We made sure that we weren't put into situations, and the parents helped to make sure that we were not put in situations where we would be doing things that we regret. There wasn't much gathering of wood. I'm going to be honest, there was some making out going on, okay? But there was nothing else that ever happened. And those things were usually very short because we were never left alone together for a long period of time. We would write notes to each other because that's what boyfriends and girlfriends did back then, because texting really didn't come out until like my senior year of high school. I got my first cell phone in my senior year of high school, and not everyone got cell phones. And so my girlfriend did not have a cell phone. So we would take notes, and when we would see each other in the hallway, we would pass notes to each other. Hi, how are you? I'm thinking about you. Here's some song lyrics, something that, and we'd pass it back and forth. One day I wrote a note to her, telling her about what I would like to do to her sexually. This was not an appropriate note. This was not a good thing. This was crossing a boundary. And it's interesting how this happens, the irony of it all, because whenever we would give notes, no one else saw these notes. We didn't have to worry about them. And yet somehow, some way, her sister finds this note. And her sister takes the note and gives it to her mom. And we're hanging out one weekend, and I'm going to be leaving soon, and Mom comes down and sits down to talk to both of us just by ourselves, and she says, so, your sister found this note, and she takes it, and she unfolds it, and have you ever died inside before?
Yeah.
I died inside. I feel like a pit in your stomach. I felt it at that point. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's the note where I said some very sexual things, some inappropriate things, some things that should only be left for marriage that I would like to do to her. And her mom is holding it, and her mom has read it oh Lord Jesus, oh, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? To make this story a little more interesting, her dad was an ex-Marine. And this guy is like, I'll bury you in the backyard, no one will ever find you type of ex-Marine. I was close. Mr. Dante? Yeah, okay. Mr. Dante smiles. This guy never smiled. And so, in my head, the first thing I'm going is, oh my goodness, I'm going to die. Does her dad know? Does her dad know? Does her dad know? And she comes out and say, your dad doesn't know, but I'm not sure what I should do with this. And I'm like, we didn't do anything. Everything written in the note, it was just my mind. It was just my mind. I didn't actually do anything. We didn't, it's okay. We didn't do anything. We're not going to do anything ever. Oh my goodness, please no. And I leave that night terrified at what is going to happen. And I go to school the next day, and she comes up to me, and she hands me a note. And in this note is detailing why she's breaking up with me. She's breaking up with me because if she breaks up with me, we're not in a relationship, and Dad never needs to find out about the note. And so we break up. Here's the thing. We're still friends. We're still attracted to each other. We still like each other. And so we still hang out, and I still hang out with the family, and we just tell them, we feel like we're going in different directions, that we're just not, it's not for us. The thing is, as we hang out as friends and we're still attracted to each other, some of the boundaries that the parents had set were sort of taken away because we were just friends. And then we find ourselves still being attracted to each other, and even though we're not going out, one day we find ourselves starting to play with some materials of fire. We're breaking out some wood, we're breaking out some other stuff, and we're doing things that we never did before while we were going out. And as time went on, this continued, and more materials were gathered and put together, and before you know it, there's a full-blown fire. And I'm like, yeah, ooh, works. And there I am ashamed because I break everything that I said that I was and who I was going to be. It was there in print on my yearbook. This was who I was. And I was ashamed. I cried so hard. I felt like I had lied to the depths of my own heart by doing something that I said I wouldn't do until marriage. I was a hypocrite to the fullest extent. This was something I was never going to do, but I did it anyway. I was crushed. And by the way, the fire, it wasn't very good, if you know what I mean. It wasn't good for either of us.
You could have left that out.
So I'm telling you that for this reason. I'm saying it wasn't worth it on any level whatsoever. I regretted everything about it. And there was not one thing where I go, you know what? I like that part. No, I didn't. And so what ended up happening was, here I am in this situation where I felt like I betrayed myself. I need to live my life. And what I ended up doing was I lied, and I told people I was a virgin for another 3 years. I kept it hidden inside of me for a couple of reasons. One was that I was ashamed. But the second one was because I couldn't tell anyone. Because at the time that this happened, I was over 18 years old, and she was 16 years old. And the way that the laws were, now the laws have changed a bit since then, but the way the laws were done back then was that if Dad found out, if someone found out, charges could be pressed against me, and I could be charged with statutory rape. It doesn't matter that we both consented and said yes to doing it. I was technically an adult, and she was technically a child. And so I could have went to jail. And then when I got out, I would be labeled as a pedophile or a sex offender. I would be a registered sex offender. And then guess what would have happened if I was a registered sex offender? I would not be a youth pastor. I could not work with children because of that. Now, am I a pedophile? No. Did I go out and rape someone? No. However, I would be labeled that. I would never be able to work with kids again. I almost lost God's plan for my life, all because I wanted to play with some stupid fire materials. All because I wanted to get these things out and start playing with them before marriage. I wanted to have fire outside of a fireplace. Well, actually, I technically didn't. I just wanted to play with materials, and then it ended up happening. And so I'm telling you guys this because I don't want you to accidentally start a fire. I don't want you to go through that pain. I don't want you to wreck your life because I know other people. I know other teens. As a youth pastor, I've been someone who have had people come up and then someone is pregnant. Holy cow. Oh, well, this is easy. No, it's not easy. It's life-changing. What I did was life-changing. When we get this stuff together, it's life-changing. And you're like, why does it have to be so life-changing? Well, God designed it to be life-changing. It's supposed to be life-changing in the bounds of marriage. If you do it outside of marriage, the worst, most terrible, awful things can happen. That's why I'm telling you this. I've seen too many lives destroyed. My own life was nearly wrecked because of stupid decisions in my life. All in the name of love, or what I thought love was. Some people today, they're hooking up without getting into relationships. They say stuff like, oh, it's just physical. There's no heart attachment to this. I'm not going to get hurt. But remember, as we talked about last week, there is an emotional bond that is formed when the physical takes place. That's one thing that God has gifted to couples, to help strengthen them emotionally so that they can have sex inside of marriage. It helps them emotionally. It may just seem physical, but there are other things going on with your heart and mind that you can't see. I want to let you know today, if you feel like you've already blown it, I want to encourage you to stop making fires. I want to encourage you, stop gathering the materials for fire. Maybe you've been around someone else. Maybe you're gathering materials to make a fire. Stop it. Don't play around with those things. Physical intimacy, it's a progression that goes up. And you don't want to stop. And you're like, I want to keep going. It's natural. It's within us. Wait until marriage to start messing around with these things. We're going to talk about later on, if you've already played with fire, what to do and what that's going to look like. We're going to be talking about purity later on. I want to give to you guys another illustration tonight. And, oh man. The good news is I know that you're never going to forget this. Okay? Have you guys ever had, is my mic going in and out? I got it. I don't know why this is happening. Okay. Oh, she's going to miss the good part. Hurry up. You don't want to miss it. Okay, when you see a gift, what do you want to do?
Open it.
You want to open it, right? That makes, nope, you leave it there? Oh, you're cheating. You know what this is about, okay? You want to open the gift when you see it, right? Have you ever found out where your parents hide your Christmas gifts?
Yes.
Okay, sometimes. One time, I found my parents hid something. It was like a book of a bunch of different cartoons and stuff. And I read the whole thing before I knew it. And then I opened my gift, and without realizing I opened it, I was like, oh, I've read this already. And I wasn't even supposed to, I wasn't supposed to have opened it before. So anyway, this is what I want you guys to realize. This represents your gift box. Or what I'm going to say, this is your sex in a box. Okay? This is sex in a box. I just like to say sex in a box because I think that sounds funny.
That's nasty.
And one day what is going to happen is you are going to give someone your box, and you are going to get a box from them. This is your sex in a box. Now, here's the thing. Much like the fireplace with the wood, there's quite a bit to this, isn't there? We see that there's a lot, like there's a bow, there's some ribbon. And what some people say is, you know what? I want to wait until marriage to have sex. But what if have you ever just open your gift a little bit to peek to see what it's like? Yeah. Okay. And so some people, they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna take off the bow a little bit. And some people are like, well, you know what? We're just gonna kiss. We're not gonna get fully intimate. We're just gonna kiss. And maybe they might take off the ribbon a little bit. Now here's the thing with me and gifts. This is an amazingly wrapped gift. When I wrap a gift, it looks like garbage, and it's just wrapping paper. Who puts ribbon and bows on things? Okay, not me. So some people take off, and then they try to open the gift, And I want to try to do it without ripping it. Come on.
I think you failed.
Oh, okay. I may have gotten
You
it.
gotta take off the tape first and then like.
Look at all those unintended consequences. Oh, jeez.
I think you might have failed.
Never unwrap the present. No, I can go show you.
Yeah, usually when I unwrap the present, I open it. But there we go. Okay. So I've started to open it a little bit, and now I can peek in. The problem is, I don't see enough, and I want more. I want more of what's in there. Now here's the thing, if I stopped right now and put it back, I might be able to get it kind of look back. Okay, so if I put this back all nice and neat, kind of like this, okay, and then I hand the box. If you got a box like this, would you be a little suspicious?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, baby.
Okay.
If it was turned around the other way, I wouldn't suspect.
Okay, so I'd have to hand it to you the other way. Oh, okay, I see. So what happens is when it comes to sexual intimacy, we tend to want to see a little bit more. And what happens is you start to open it up. And sometimes you're like, you know what, I can't, I'm being a little impatient, and I just want to open it up. Okay, you end up opening it up, and it's still sealed. You know what? I need to grab. There we go.
America.
Wow.
This is America.
There we go.
That's bad.
I'm sorry, I got excited. It happens when you open up gifts. There. Okay. Cool. Some people are gonna get that. Okay. Cool. One person got it. There you go. Okay. So you're gonna open it up. Okay. And you can see inside. Oh, this is great. Now here's the problem.
What's in it?
Christmas hasn't come yet. My birthday hasn't come yet. I opened up my gift early, didn't I? Not gonna work. It does kind of ruin the surprise, yes. And technically, here's the thing. I'm actually not supposed to like keep this open, so I kind of need to close it back up. So what happens is we all get a gift box. God gives us our own gift box. And he says, one day, this isn't just yours for you, it's yours to share with someone else. And so when you get married, you're going to be able to give this gift box to someone else. The problem is, if we start to open our gift before we're supposed to, we're going to want to open it more. As human beings, we are designed to want more. If someone wins a championship, what are they doing 2 months later?
Trying to win another championship.
They're getting ready. Oh, no, they're done celebrating by then. Yeah, the guys know. Okay, you're not repeating, obviously. But you know, you're going back for another championship, right? You're training, you're putting the work in, you're working with your team. I want to go back to back. I want again. We are made to do that. If someone finds a cure for one disease, they're working on taking that information to apply it to a cure for another disease. If every single person in Philadelphia gets enough food, clothing, and shelter, let's try to get everybody in the state of Pennsylvania enough food, clothing, and shelter. We're made and designed to want to accomplish more. We're made for more. The question is, what are you putting your more towards? When it comes to sex, we're designed to want more. We want to keep going. It's not like, oh, this is enough. And so what happens is we end up opening our box, we get excited, and then this is what we're left with. You may have not planned to do this, but you started to because you got excited and it was a fun thing to do. But the thing is, the more you start to unwrap your box, the more you will want to open it completely. The intimacy of sexual relationships is commanded by God to be saved from marriage. And we put that in a box saying, don't open it till we get married. Okay? When it comes to kissing, hugging, caressing, other forms of touching, and that sort of stuff, it is a form of starting to open the box before you're ready. Here's the problem. Society's view of dating includes all of these areas. All of these areas. And our society no longer affirms or encourages self-control, but rather pressures young people towards full sexual intimacy. It says this, listen, when you feel like you're ready, that's when you can open your box. Whenever you feel that when it's right for you, that's when it's right. But God clearly has said, listen, this box is not supposed to be opened until marriage. You see, a dating relationship is an emotional attachment, and it creates a certain level of physical involvement. When you start to get physically involved with someone, it changes the dynamic. If we develop a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship before we're ready to consider marriage, what we're doing is we're asking for sexual temptation. We're putting this box in front of us saying, wouldn't it be fun to open the box? Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun to open the box. The problem is it wasn't designed to be open until you get to marriage. I'm sad. The reason I'm sad is that I got to marriage. And this was what I handed my wife. This was the box that I had to hand my wife. And we had to talk through and work through times in our marriage when I would have loved to have given her that nice box right over there. But instead I had already opened, I already played with, I already did things, and this was what we had. And we had to work through that. I showed you guys the duct tape last week and the pain that happens. It is so shameful and embarrassing when you want to give something nice to the person that you love most in the whole world, and you're like, I'm so sorry. Now, God's grace has been amazing, and we've been able to work through stuff, and I'm so grateful for that. But I don't want you to go through that pain. And some people, they look at it and they go, you know what? I don't want to be with someone if this is what they're handing me. No one will ever look at that box and say, you know what? I don't want that. No thanks. I want someone whose box has already been opened. And if they say that, they're a liar, and they're just not. You don't want to be with someone like that. You'd rather get a fully closed box than an open box. And so I'm telling you guys my story. I'm telling you this because I don't want it to happen to you. Don't waste your box on someone else. Save your box for your future husband or your future wife. Please, don't start opening it. Don't start playing with those things. Because the thing is, not only are you going to get hurt by starting a fire, not only are other people going to get hurt, but ultimately this is what you're going to be handing to someone, and it's not as nice of a gift as it could be. A few weeks ago, when we broke out into small groups and we talked about what we wanted in our spouse, you guys were asked what age you want to get married. What were some of the ages that you guys wrote down?
20. Is that the week I was in here?
22, your 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, 25, 70 years old. Is that what you just said? Okay, well listen. Until you are ready to seriously consider marriage, you need to relate to guys and girls in the context of friendship rather than dating. Because when you start looking at things in dating, this is what you have to deal with. I don't want you guys to deal with this now. Some of you are struggling dealing with it as we're talking about it tonight, because it's a difficult topic. There are tons of opportunities for group activities with a mix of guys and girls. You can have a great time together without playing with fire or opening boxes, if you know what I mean. Okay? You can avoid the wounds and the traps of dating, which is why we're going through this whole thing. My prayer is that as we go through this, you guys will take it, you'll start to maybe get in a relationship, or you'll be involved with someone and you'll step back and go, wait, what am I doing here? What is the purpose of this? Or you'll be in a relationship and you'll start to see things happening and you'll remember and you'll go, you know what? I want to give my future spouse a nicely wrapped box. And so we need to set boundaries right now, and we need to talk about it. Most people, they don't talk about it. They just happen. What happened with me and my girlfriend? We did not talk about this stuff. It happened. And most people, I find, it just happens. But if you are prepared, if you're equipped, and you know what to do, then you guys will be able to avoid this heartbreak. And then you can end up giving your spouse a nicely wrapped box and not go through the pain that is involved with opening it. What I have for you guys as you go is I have these little gift boxes for you. This is your sex in the box. Okay? This is to help remind you to hold on and to not unwrap until it's ready. Now, guys, actually, I don't know if girls would feel about this. I don't know. I think it would be pretty cool if you held on to it and then one day you're about to get married and you're like, hey, this is for you. And they're like, what is this? And you're like, well, just to let you know, I saved myself because I knew one day I was going to meet you. I didn't even know who you were. I was like, I want to save myself for you. So this is for you. And I guarantee that they'll be like, oh, that's the sweetest thing ever. And you'll get immediate brownie points. So you can hold on to this until you get married. And if I happen to marry you and you do that, I'll be like, oh, that's the sweetest thing ever. Or no, don't involve me. Just don't have me involved with that. That's weird. Okay? So don't do that. But it's something to help remind you. Okay? So we're going to pray, and then you guys can come up, and then you can come and grab a box. Let's pray. Father God, as we come before you, we thank you for the fact that you're loving, that you're gracious, and that you've given us a blueprint to have healthy relationships. God, I ask that you help us to use the things that you've given us in the way that you designed them. And we've been talking about sex tonight. God, it is designed for marriage. I ask that you help everyone here, that Holy Spirit, you would give them a spirit of self-discipline, that you would give them the spirit of self-control, so that they would not make the same mistakes that I did. That they wouldn't gather materials for a fire, that they wouldn't start opening their box before marriage, Lord, but they would be able to present themselves, their box, to their future spouse unopened. Lord, I ask that you help them to see the things that can come their way, the temptations, so that they're able to say, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that, so that you might keep them from the hurt and the pain that I had to experience, and many other people have had to experience as well. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay,